Hey guys, we're with Camel ADV, continuing our Desert X prep video for the BDR trip that we have coming up quickly here. I want to go over a couple of things. We're going to do some double take mirrors and handguard install. Handguards aren't specific to this bike, so I'm just going to show you a couple of different ways to tackle the mounting, and handguards are always kind of a pain. You do have some bending usually to do to get them to fit properly, especially if you're not using specific handguards for your bike. So I've got the stock mirrors here on the Desert X. So one of the big problems with the stock mirrors on any bike is they're rigid. So when you're riding off-road and you hit a tree, you drop your bike, you break the mirror, the glass is fragile. Those ones actually sound plastic, which would be nice, but the arm is steel into an aluminum base. So you fall, you smack this, you crack the aluminum base off here. On some of the bikes, you have the threaded insert is not on the outer shell here, the outer cap. It's actually on the main piece here with the master cylinder. So if this breaks off, you can lose your front brake or your clutch, which is way less than ideal. So we always add double take mirrors to our bikes. Usually these get added before the first oil change. So we've got the rubber ram balls here that attach, and then you tighten them up here with the thumb wheel. And they're easy to take on and off. They're easy to adjust, super durable. You can get replacement glass. I've only ever broken one in like 15 years, but they're great. You can take them off, put them in your backpack when you don't need them. These will come with your kit if you order them specifically. So on these bikes, not just the Ducati, a good chunk of bikes, the right-hand mirror is a left-hand thread, and that is to avoid what I was talking about before. If you hit this mirror, it actually spins loose rather than breaking the mount. So that one spins that way. This guy is a regular right-hand thread. So if these were both right-hand threads, as you hit the right-hand mirror, it would get tighter and you're more likely to break that. So when you do the double take mirrors, one of these is an adapter, and it's a left-hand thread adapter. So these have 3 hash marks on them. So that's left hand. This one is simply a riser. So you don't need a thread adapter for the left hand mirror, but if you want to keep the mirrors at the same height, you need to add that adapter. So when we sell a kit with a left hand adapter, we automatically include the extension piece. So the ball itself is still a right hand thread, and the female side here is still right hand, so they go together. They go together normally, and when we thread it into the bike, we have to thread it the opposite direction. Now, because these mirrors can move on these balls, we don't need to worry about breaking the perches as much. It's obviously not impossible to break, but these guys usually just spin inside the arm. So I can't stand mirrors that are swiveling and moving around. They drive me crazy. So I use red Loctite on these. You will never separate this rubber ball from this mount with the red Loctite. There's no hex on here, so the only way to grab them is with like needle nose vice grips, and I've yet to have enough bite, even with brand new sharp vice grips, to get this off. But that's something to deal with at a later date if you do have to get them off. This is just a standard 5/8 or 16 mil wrench for these guys. So first things first, we're going to take a wrench here. These guys are 14 mil. Your bike might be a little different. Again, this is a left-hand thread, so we're going to have to turn this to the right to loosen it. And we're right there, and then we're just going to spin the mirror out and set it aside. And then we're going to do the same on the left-hand mirror, which is a right-hand thread. Like I said, I'm going to add some red Loctite here. You don't need a ton. And give that guy a spin in. And this is aluminum, and this is aluminum. You don't need to go too crazy on the tension, just nice and snug. And then same thing on our extension. And then like I said, with the balls here, we're going to put red Loctite on these as well. The rubber on these can deteriorate over time, and you might need to replace these before you sell the bike or before you change the whole mirror out. You can't put blue Loctite on these. Like I said, it really irritates me when you're riding along and the mirrors start to fold in towards you. So I've just gotten in the habit of putting red Loctite on these as well. So there are a few different thread pitches with the balls, so you need to be aware of that. Most bikes are the same, which is a 10 mil 1.5 pitch. Some of the other stuff like BMW is a different pitch, and then there's some of the bikes have an 8 mil, but that's pretty rare. So there's a good chance that whatever you're riding is going to be the 10 by 125. And once we got those in there, before the Loctite dries, I'm going to take our needle nose vice grips, and I'm going to grab the base below the rubber ball here and give that a tighten. If I pull on this any harder, then this guy's gonna spin, because of course it's the opposite thread. And now tomorrow these guys are gonna be locked on here. Might take a little bit of heat to get them off if I do need to take them off. And then with that done, we're just going to add our mirrors. The long ram arms have got a spring on them. Double take has round mirrors as well, and it's something that we generally don't carry. And I think actually on this bike with the round headlights, the round mirrors instead of the coffin-shaped ones would probably be a better bet. We'll likely add them to the website sooner than later. I'm going to tackle handguards. I always have a bunch of stuff laying around the shop. This is a set of Moose handguards. Yeah, it's Moose Racing. These have been sitting in a bin for God knows how long. They're not a great fit on this bike, so we're going to have to do some work. I'm probably just going to steal some bits and pieces from here and use some other handguard kits that I have laying around. And we are going to use the threaded bar end mounts or threaded bar inserts instead of the taper lock style here. These aren't nearly as secure. So these are good for, wind deflectors. They keep the rain and stuff off your hands. Or if you're, riding through willows, you're not getting smacked with branches. But if you put this bike into the dirt, this is not going to fare very well. So we want something a little more durable on any adventure bike, is my opinion. Take these factory guys out. So a lot of the factory handguards will tuck underneath your mirror mount, or otherwise come over to the master cylinder, which is a problem. If you drop the bike, you're putting pressure onto the master cylinder. And if you break the master cylinder, whether it's brake or clutch, it can definitely be problematic. So you can see this one's got a taper lock on a long shaft here, and this is likely for vibration dampening. We clamp it here, and then we've got a bar end weight here on this end, and it just takes some of the buzz out of the bars. So we might try and reuse this bar end because they really do make a difference for vibration, but we'll see what we can do first. So these are awesome. These are from Bulletproof Designs. This is a 5/8 by 11 pitch, 5/8 course here, and on the inside it's M8. So the reason that they went with the 5/8 is the ID of your heavy wall bar is just the right size to straight up tap these. You don't need to drill them first. So I got an automotive garage beside us, and I never shoot video during the day because they've always got the impact going, and they've got cars being delivered on tow trucks, and as soon as I start to try and do something, then somebody's hammering away with the impact, and it's really annoying in the background. But I'm running out of time, so we're here, and I'm going to do this, and we're just going to have to deal with the noise in the background. So we got this big 5/8 tap here. You can get a kit right from Bulletproof Designs that has a tap in it. I already have several of these from having taps or having these insert kits over the years. So I just got the cheap kit that didn't have the tap. It's nice to be able to do this without using cutting fluid because we need to Loctite the inserts in, but we're taking a fairly big chunk out of here when we do this, so just going to give this a shot of silicone before we start. And just try and get it started as straight as you can. And it's a big tap, so it's unlikely that I'm going to break the tap, but I'm going to throw safety glasses on just in case. So when you're tapping anything, you want to go about a quarter turn, back it out to break the chip off. If you go too hard too fast and don't back it out, there's a much higher chance you're going to break the tap. And if you broke this big guy in here, you'd likely never get it out. And then if you have to, spin the tap all the way out, clean all the bits off of it before you go any deeper. Now the inserts are only about 1 inch long, so we don't need to bury that tap all the way. It's just threading for the sake of threading at that point. So there's a bunch of aluminum filings in here, chips off of the die, that there's no real way to get them out except for to blow them through. So you can take the handguard off the other side, because right now the bar end is plugged. Take that off, and then I'm going to blow the chips through. Compressed air works better. And make sure your buddy's not standing on the other side. I've done that a few times. Your friend's over here, you do that, you blast it, and you totally shower them with everything out of the bar. It's less than ideal. So again, red Loctite on here. So I do these guys in here with red, and then when I put the handguards on, I use blue. And this bolt is a little bit sticky going in, which is fine, because we just need a way to thread this insert in, and you'll find it real quick if you didn't tap that hole deep enough. It'll bottom out here in a minute if I didn't. Ooh, no, we're good. We're good. So just putting the insert flush with the end of the bar. I'm going to leave this bolt in here because right now if I try and take the bolt out, I'm going to pull the insert out with it. That was kind of dumb. I should have tapped the other side first, and then I could have blown all the chips out of here. This one's in here, the red Loctite's on. If I blow the chips out now, a bunch of them are going to get caught in the Loctite. So is what it is. Maybe I tip the bike over that direction or grab the vacuum and try and get them out. Not a big deal. Less than ideal, but not a big deal. And I've just got the insert bottomed out here again. So this is a little strange. The grip here on the clutch side, there's like 3/16 of bar showing, but there isn't on the throttle side, which is weird. If it was vice versa, if there was a little more bar showing here, but on the throttle side, I would assume it would be for clearance, so that you're not binding the throttle tube up. It's just weird. It's on the weird to be on the clutch side. So I've let these sit for a few hours, so the Loctite has cured to a point that I can get this bolt out without worrying about spinning the insert out. So I take this guy out and then flip over to the other side and do the same. So these are some highway dirt bikes handguards that I've got. They're 3/16 thick aluminum, which is nice and beefy, great for an adventure bike. They're not made for this bike. I don't actually know what they're from anymore. I've had them for quite a while. They've kind of been on a few different bikes. So the length is pretty good. It brings us right in here, which is where our mount is going to be. So I'm going to use the inner mounts here from the Moose kit. I like them because they're a solid mount. A lot of the kits that you get, there's a pivoting bracket on here, and it doesn't really add a lot of strength to the bars. So when you drop the bike and hits the handguard, the bracket just rolls over, which is kind of pointless in my opinion. So we're going to put these on. We're going to see where we end up with, or where we end up at for width, and what we need to do to make these guys work. Because these are tapered bars, the mount is actually cut on a taper as well. So there's going to be a spot that this is going to fit. It's going to fit best. And that kind of seems to be about here, maybe up a little higher. Go with that. And we're just going to put these on really lightly right now until I figure out the overall distance we need. Like I said, I'm going to try and put the bar end back on here because it does really help with vibration. And this bike will primarily be more of a road bike for me than kind of hard adventure stuff. So it being comfortable on the road is really important. So I'm going to have a look at the factory bar ends. Just a big hunk of metal here, which I think with the width of that gets us pretty damn close here. If you look at where the end of the mount is compared to, or the guard compared to the mount, it's pretty good. We're gonna have to bend an angle on it, but we're really good there. Actually, that kind of worked out quite well. This factory bit is a 6mm hole, so we're gonna have to drill that to an 8mm to get the handguard bolt through it. So we're just gonna grab that in the lathe and spin it up. All right, I don't have any countersunk bolts that are long enough. Not that this guy's long enough either, but it'll get us started. So I'm just gonna put that in lightly here so we can have a look and see what we need to do, where we need to bend to get the end of the handguard here into that mount. We can't adjust the angle of this, so we need to be bending the handguard to fit the mount instead of doing it the other direction. So this needs to bend this direction and roll back. So I'm just going to make a kind of note here that means something to me, because when you go to put it in the vise, you kind of forget it's sort of abstract. So you're going, was that this direction or that direction? And it's a little bit weird to do. And it is going to take a couple of attempts to get that to land where I need it to land. So working with aluminum like this, you want to heat it up really well and then dunk it in cold water to quench it and then work it. And I always thought you wanted to heat it up, work it while it was hot. But I've got our welder here, Matt, our fabricator, has worked a ton with aluminum, and he's like, no, that's not the way to do it. Heat it, quench it, then work it, and that seems to be the way to do it. So, and heat this up with MAP gas, dunk it in the water, and then we'll give it a bend. So this has got a compound bend. We need to roll it this way and back that way. So we have to do this in 2 steps. Oh. Well, holy shit, look at that. That's pretty damn good for first attempt. Obviously I gotta put the bar end in here to space that out. I'm gonna need to tweak it a little bit, but that's pretty damn close. Just found some entirely too long full thread stainless bolts here. We're going to try and use here. I'll get some better ones tomorrow, but this will be a good start. Well, we're in pretty good shape here. We're 1.25 inches or so off, but we can just grab this and pull it up, which is gonna bend it a little bit through here, which is fine for what we're trying to do. And get this started here. So not bad here, all things considered. Rotate them down a little farther. We don't want to be in the area that we're going to worry about hitting the braided hose here. I might loosen that and rotate it so it's sitting down in the groove a little bit better here. But other than that, I think we're looking pretty good. So we can tighten these up. I could put a dab of blue Loctite on here, and then I'm going to need to do the same over here tomorrow when I get the right length bolts. But that's gonna do. And now we're just gonna do the same thing on the other side, obviously. So all the same stuff here. The rotation is good. It just needs a little more bend this way. So this one's a little bit low because I got to change the angle on the inner here. It's not quite what I need it to be. So it's throwing the whole guard out of whack. So I'm making some headway on the bike here. The mirror's on, handguards on. This is clear paint protectant here and here. Got the decal underneath it, so it's nice and protected. Started on pannier racks. Not happy with most of it. Not happy with the frame tie in here, so cut it off. I'm gonna redo that. Either going to do a toolbox here, maybe a camel tank, who knows, don't know what we're gonna do. Of course, Ducati's got their own rear auxiliary fuel tank for this bike, so I don't know how it's gonna mount. I suspect the pannier racks are not going to be compatible with that because it looks like it comes up quite a bit. We might do our own tank, just not sure at this point. So the next couple of days, we'll get the lower tie-in point here on the pannier racks done. Skid plate should be back from the metal shop on Thursday, so we can get that guy sorted out. That's going to take some figuring, and still working on our GPS mount and wiring for that. So we've got some of this stuff is in kind of in the works. The GPS mount is in the works. I can't show that to you yet because I'm going to post this video pretty quick, and I kind of don't want to show what we're working on just yet. The details anyway. You'll see the GPS and the gauge cluster just from helmet cam when I'm on the trip, but just how we're getting there, kind of hold the secret sauce for a little bit anyway, till we're a little closer to production, and then save some of the inside stuff with some of the other parts we're going to do. I can't show you right now. If we were going to delay these videos by a few months, then it would be no big deal. But we'll be working on these parts, you know, while these videos come out. So just something that we have to do, unfortunately. But yeah, we're close. We're going to take off on Saturday, so I've got about 3 days here until till D-Day, and yeah, there's still lots to do. We'll get another video or two out for you before we go. Thanks for watching.